Hello everyone, this is the third video of the Chapter 9 lecture about technology and leisure. And again, we're still in this video talking about how pervasive technology is in our life and leisure. This video, we're going to begin with the GPS. It's an American global navigation satellite. Did you know it was an American thing, like US American thing? You know, there's actually a Chinese version, Indian version, Russian version of it too. I didn't really even know. I just call everything GPS really. You know, I use actually GPS-like system in China. You know, there's actually, I forgot the Chinese word for it, but it's very, you know, basically like a Google map and I can use it very easy. Anywho, another thing is that GPS is about not just about location, but also time. Actually, it's about space and time. A lot of people don't know really about the time component. And GPS actually go with GIS technology. So it's actually, a lot of people think it's GPS, but it's more about GIS, but sometimes anyway. My wife is a geographer. She knows better, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. But do you remember that we already talked about GPS in this course when we were in the geography chapter 7, right? When I asked you to watch the TED talk by Daniel Corsa about the happy map, he discussed how the most efficient path from the point A to the B, that's usually made by those, you know, Google Map, sometimes deprive us from some of the rich experiences, positive emotions, right? So obviously you can see both pros and cons. It's efficient, time-saving, but also there's a problem to that too. I mean, in terms of, you know, benefit, I mean, for example, I need a Google map to go anywhere really to drive. I mean, I don't want to perpetuate the stereotype of Japanese man and Asian people like not being able to drive and, you know, navigate the direction, but I am. You know, I need a Google map to even go to the Costco, the same Costco that I go pretty much every month, every week. You can't just get it figured out anyway. So it's very beneficial and helps us to, you know, go to road trip to different place, right? Tourism, leisure, vacation as well. So there is a benefit to that too. And I wanted to just quickly talk about this example that chapter gave us. 360 cities, I think it's a website, and I think apparently they use GPS, but it's more like if you type in the city, well, the way I use was type in the city and they're going to show us those panorama picture to just kind of get a sense of that city. So you can visit anywhere in the world pretty much. And for example, my home city, I have a couple of home cities in Japan, but one of them is called Yokohama, close to Tokyo. But I would say it's better, more prettier. This is actually a screenshot of that on that website. You know, there's a biggest Chinatown in Japan. It's a port city. It's a harbor city. A really nice romantic area. There's a big Ferris wheel, which is lit up in the night. It's really beautiful. Anyway, or if you have never been to Edmonton yet because of COVID, this is a good opportunity to kind of take a look at the city, right? You can do that. You can also do that with the Google Earth, yeah, thing too. But technology helps. There are more common, I think, GPS-based leisure activity. And of course, yes, we're talking about Pokemon Go. We just cannot not talk about Pokemon Go in terms of GPS and leisure. Everybody does this. Like even now, like campus, we don't have many, you know, students. I mean, you're not supposed to be here many times. But I see sometimes groups of people, right? And then just 2 or 3 of them. And I know they're doing Pokemon Go. Why? Because they do this. This is like a classic sign of their playing Pokemon Go, right? I've never actually played Pokemon Go, so that looks really fun though, actually. By February 2019, so it's more now, 1 billion downloads. It was phenomenal. Of course, North America, Europe, but also everywhere. I know it was crazy in Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia as well. Really. And then 2018, I think it was, they released, I mean, different company, actually, they released what is called Harry Potter Wizards Unite. So it's based on Harry Potter. And I wasn't, I was just keeping myself from Pokemon Go. And I'm a Japanese boy. Pokemon is from Japan, and I just wanted to play. But also, I knew I'm gonna get into it. So I didn't pray. And then Harry Potter came in, and I'm like, I have to pray. And I did it. And in the first 3 weeks, I became like level 30. So I spent quite a bit of time. And my wife forbid me after that. So, but anyway, it was 400,000 installs within the 24 hours of release. 24 hours and 400,000. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Yes. It was a new game. We have never had this type of game, right? You're actually getting exploring the city through these GPS games. There's that connection between the like virtual world and the real world. The sometimes sad thing is, at least in the Harry Potter system, GPS coordinates actually falls a lot on parking lots and those areas. So you're not really exploring beautiful areas so much. Sometimes you're exploring those parking lots. But those signature, landmarks are also considered, and they're featured in these games. So you actually go to those areas as well. So that's really nice. Now there are both pros and cons, benefits and problems with the Pokemon Go. For example, this research by Nick et al., they found that the Pokemon Go players, reported an increase in moderate to vigorous exercise by 50 minutes per week before and after they started to play this game. It really intrigues me, but because why? Because when you're, if you're a typical Pokemon Go player, you don't really do moderate to vigorous exercise. You basically stand outside and walk around sometimes, and that's what it is, basically, right? I mean, you can ride a bike a little bit, but if you are too fast, I think that's not a good thing for these games either, right? So I don't know how, but maybe the fact that you are outside, you also happen to do some other exercise potentially, just kind of side effect. It's indirect ripple effects. It's possible. Another finding is the decrease in a sedentary behavior. I think this is more important. Decrease in a sedentary behavior by 30 minutes per day. That's big. 30 minutes per day, right? And times that by 7 days a week. 3 hours and a half of less sedentary behavior per week. That's big. So there is potentially important benefits to that too. Although, when you're going around, you're not looking ahead, so you can get into trouble basically, which is actually the point of this next slide, which is also starred. According to this article by Iqbal, the game has many, many problems. In the first month, for example, of the release, 2016, 290 UK, United Kingdom crimes were attributed to Pokemon Go. What happened because of Pokemon Go? Another study by Purdue University research team found that 2 deaths, 31 injuries, and $500,000 in vehicle damage could be blamed on the Pokemon Go in a single county. Do we have a county in Canada? The county is like just a few people, maybe one big city and few towns. If it's Purdue, I don't know if it's Purdue. That's college town, so it's not really big. Maybe some few 100,000 people, if not, 40,000-50,000 people population, give or take. Maybe in Indiana, it's Midwest. I mean, it's not a small state, but it's not heavily populated state. So if you think about it, these numbers are pretty high actually. I mean, 2 people dying because in that population, it's county, it's not country. Okay. So there's definitely a problem. People don't look ahead and just they bump to something, or they fall into some hole or construction site. I've seen those funny videos, but they're not really funny because it's dangerous, right? Some people ride a bicycle, which is also dangerous. Another technology that are getting more and more common in our life and leisure is this virtual reality and augmented reality, right? And they're sometimes tricky to differentiate. So I wanted you to understand what they are. Virtual reality is basically computer-generated simulation. So the entire thing that you're seeing with the goggle, right? They're created by computer. They're not real. They're virtual. Three-dimensional usually, right? The entire space, up and down, left to right, everything, the depth of it too, that a person can interact with using special electronic equipment, usually including goggle. Now, when I was at the university called Clemson University in South Carolina in the United States, they have some nice virtual reality lab, and I get to try some of the virtual reality, really. Not the type, well, was it the type of thing? The goggle was something that you can buy probably, but the system was probably their system. It was cool because I can paint stuff on basically the entire space. I can paint, and I have a palette, you know, the different colors of paints, and I can just anywhere. It's a pretty cool experience. On the contrary, augmented reality, or AR, is an interactive experience of a real world environment. So it's about real world that you see, that you can touch, you can, you know, that thing. But when you see it with the AR device, there's something on top of it. It's enhanced with the computer generated information. Okay, so the virtual reality, everything is now real. AR, real thing, layered with something computer based. For example, roller coaster is a great example in terms of virtual reality, right? Kraken, I think it's a Sea World, have it, but basically, you know, they have a goggle. Of course, the roller coaster is real. There is that roller coaster, but what they're seeing is basically 100% computer generated. On the right side, though, the tourism industry is increasingly interested in AR, augmented reality. Like this, for example. Imagine you go to the country where you don't really speak the local language, right? You're in the middle of the city. You want a coffee, you want a hotel, you want whatever. You know, you're wondering about their, you know, way to get to the destination, whatever that might be. And you can take out your phone and you can just scan the city with the camera on, with the application on, and that will put like, oh, this is a hotel, this is coffee, this is direction of, this is the best way to go to the destination you want to go. And maybe there's some rating of those areas. That's going to be very, very convenient, don't you think? So that's more of an AR, because you can see the real world, and that's enhanced with the some of the computer generated information. Okay, you know the difference? Good. In terms of AR, I have to talk. This is exciting. This is a world changing. Yo. I mean, I don't know. I've never tried yet, but this is crazy to me. For example, there's a AR-based sport called Hado from Japan. And actually, I know the guy who created it. I met actually the guy. I know her, his daughter, his sister. We're friends on Facebook. But what this is basically 3 versus 3. So team battle, team sports. And I think it as, like, to me, a Dragon Ball Z. You know Dragon Ball Z? And you can do this thing, and you can just like there's like some sort of shock wave comes out of your hand, that kind of situation. And you can see that you have to make that body motion, and an AR system will recognize that, and then there's like something comes out, and people, the opponents, can see that too, and they try to escape that from the opponents, and you try to attack the other people with your thing, and you can use a shield and stuff like that. This is a video of the World Cup. They have a World Cup apparently. It's really exciting game. So if you want to see it, check it out. AR is crazy and cool. I was a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z, and this is to me a dream come true. I always wanted to do this, you know, Dragon Ball Z kind of thing, you know, this thing. Another thing that I also know, the AR application, I don't know if it's real, that it's already there, probably it's there, is, do you know a card game called Yu-Gi-Oh? You know, I think, again, it's from Japan, but it was worldwide sensational. I had literally tens of thousands of cards when I was a kid, you know. My parents were not happy. But anyway, and in the cartoon, in the comic, it's a card game. There's a monster in it. The monster have a different powers and the HP hit point, and and you fight against each other, all that kind of stuff. The magic, the monster. Now, in a cartoon, when you use the card, the monster pops up. Of course, it didn't happen when I was a kid. It was just a piece of paper, right? So we had to pretend. Well, we didn't pretend, but anyway. Now with AR, you can wear a certain goggle and monster actually pops up from the card. It is very, very cool. Again, this is a dream come true. I just want to try it until I die, before I die. It's just one of those bucket lists to me, but it's changing our experience. To me, to people like me, it's really a dream come true. Now, of course, virtual reality, AR, but more so virtual reality. They're not. There's a pros and cons. There's benefits and there are problems too. For example, in terms of health concerns, we know that if you use virtual reality for a long time, it could cause something like anxiety, eye strain, and motion sickness. I actually experienced motion sickness when I was in Japan in 2018 summer with my wife, and there was a Galaxy 10 or so, the smartphone new promotion event, and they had this basically seat. It looks like a roller coaster, but it's not roller coaster. It's in a shopping mall, and you wear the virtual VR, but the VR goggle is actually not the goggle, but it's a smartphone actually, and the Galaxy 10. And I can experience that virtual reality. And it was amazing. Totally immersive, and the seat moves accordingly, kind of synchronized with the visual image. So it feels like you're on the roller coaster in whatever that different world. But I totally felt the motion sickness because I'm very sensitive to that too. So there's a problem. But also it's been used in a clinical and research settings. For example, virtual reality has been used for people with a very extreme social phobia, people who are afraid of other people and interaction and social situations. Because virtual reality can make a kind of simulated, but also, risk-free and simplified social setting where people can practice things. And also I've seen some interesting application of virtual reality with, I think it was children with the autism spectrum disorder too, some of that too. So this very exciting area of research and practice. I think I'm gonna stop my video here, and I'm gonna see you in the next video.